Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Hopefully, you had a great week. We're here to kick off your weekend with another I Could Be Wrong podcast. Of course, I'm Brad. This is Justin. Morning, bro. We got a few topics we're going to chat about today. Hopefully, you guys enjoy our banter and leave some comments. Please make sure that you like and subscribe and be on the lookout for more I Could Be Wrong content coming in the future. Of course, it's all presented by Touchdown Threads. Hey, Sean. Woo! Bang, bang, Niner gang. All right, let's go ahead and kick it off, bro. I know we got a few topics we want to get into, but first one I want to talk about really quick. We just want to shout out Shohei Ohtani. Dude is balling out right now. We were just talking as we were getting started here. Leading the league, the entire league, Major League Baseball in home runs with 25, and he's got second most strikeouts per 9 innings for all pitchers in baseball. So I think what we're seeing right now just is really unprecedented, man. A dude that can dominate not only on the mound but at the plate. Dude is just absolutely a stud right now. So just wanted to give him a shout out. If you haven't caught him, it's probably because he plays for the Angels and the Angels suck. But next year, when he plays for a big market team, you'll probably see him everywhere, and just be prepared to be caught up in Shohei mania.
So yeah, it's definitely good for baseball. That's all I can say. Good for baseball. Good for the Angels. They are in contention this year, so who knows? Maybe they make a run in the playoffs, and they're able to keep Shohei from walking in free agency. But who knows? Who knows? Good shout out though. Definitely on a historic tear, and just really, really killing it in the game of baseball right now. If you're not a baseball fan, which I don't watch a lot of baseball, but you have to appreciate what he's doing for the game and just individually overall. So
it's crazy how the Angels ended up with two of like the best baseball players possibly ever on the same team with Mike Trout and Ohtani. So
if they could just put it together.
Yeah, if they can get some wins around that, that'd be pretty legit. All right. So anyways, that's our shout out to the boys of summer. Hey, keep entertaining us, and we'll keep shouting you out. Not that you need it. All right, so let's move on. Next topic we want to touch on, I believe, is NBA offseason and how crazy it's been. So go ahead and open us up.
Yeah, super crazy. If we're just talking free agency, let's actually talk about the trades. So, pre-draft, there was a slew of trades. Big names getting moved too. Names like Chris Paul, Jordan Poole. While he might not be a superstar name like Chris Paul, he is a pretty big name in the NBA. He's pretty popular around the league. So him getting moved to the Wizards. And then, you got CP3 getting moved all over the place.
CP3, I don't even know if he was I wonder if they just turned his plane around mid-flight. No, I'm just kidding. He wasn't even on his way to Washington. But yeah, that was crazy.
It was pretty crazy. He said that he found out on the plane that he was getting traded from
Good
Phoenix.
Morning America. That's wild that he's been traded twice. He got traded twice in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Hey. Well, and then you got the excitement of the Celtics trade for Kristaps, which was happening, then it wasn't happening, and then it happened.
I
don't know how much it helps him. Those upper league officials, upper team officials, general managers, scouts, they probably know better than I do. I really don't see how it helps the Celtics. I felt like they need a ball handler more than anything, someone who could help facilitate. Porzingis is a heck of a player. He's not in his prime anymore, but who knows? He could be a good fit.
I disagree. I think he's just coming into his prime, to be honest with you. He's only 26, 27. He's still fairly young.
He is pretty young.
He's fairly young because he came into the league really early. Obviously had a lot of injuries with New York.
That's what it is.
There was a lot of expectation on him as a young kid in New York. Obviously he couldn't live up to it, which not a lot of people can.
New York.
Then he went to Dallas, obviously, played a little better alongside Luka. But last year he actually had his best season ever of his career. averaged most points. Granted, Washington didn't do much, which is surprising because they had a lot of talent. They just couldn't put anything together. Honestly, I think that it helps them on the offensive end. On the defensive end, I think it hurts them because they are, well, I don't know if it hurts them. I think it hurts him on the perimeter because he's not one of those, he's not going to switch like a lot of our other guys, but he is a really good rim protector. So it's going to help us, I think, close to the rim. Obviously, the league has changed. There's a lot of perimeter shooting, so I don't know. It'll be interesting. I really hate to see Marcus Smart go.
I know.
That's my, that was my guy. I liked him a lot. He was the heart and soul of the team.
Favorite too for Boston.
But yeah, I think so. When the trade first was going to happen, and they were trading, I think it was Brogdon and Gallo for just Porzingis. I wasn't too happy about it.
Yeah.
Because they weren't getting much in return for what they were giving up. Brogdon just won 6th man of the year.
2 first rounders,
right? But then when I found out they got 2 first round picks for basically Marcus Smart because Gallinari never played a game for them.
Yeah.
In his farewell picture online, they showed him at his press conference because that's the only thing he did as a Boston Celtics was the press conference. So they didn't really lose much other than Marcus Smart, but getting 2 first round picks in return, I'm good with that. I think it's going to be interesting. I think they wanted to play bigger. A lot of the players at the end of the season, they voiced that they wish they had gone with bigger lineups. So we'll see. It's gonna be fun to watch, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Celtics are always generally pretty fun to watch.
Yeah.
I don't think there'll be a meshing problem necessarily. I'm just not sure how he fits. I don't think anyone's really sure how he's going to fit there because no one's seen it. But you're pairing a guy with 2 superstars, so he doesn't have to be that guy. He doesn't have to be the unicorn that everyone made him out to be. So that could be helpful for his mentality. He just has to go play basketball.
Yep.
And doesn't have to worry about being that guy. So that could be really helpful for him. That change of scenery, being with Tatum and Jaylen Brown in the lineup. I mean, just taking all the pressure off of you as the main guy could really help out. So I'm excited to see it.
I would say in addition to that, Derek White, I imagine, is probably going to move into the starting point guard role.
Yeah.
And I personally don't think we're going to lose much. He actually was all defensive player this year, all NBA defensive team, ahead of Marcus Smart.
Oh, wow.
Had a better defensive rating throughout the season, things like that. And I think that the decision making might be slightly better when on the offensive end. Marcus Smart was great, but I think Derek White's more of a closer to a true point guard than, not that he is a true point guard, but he's closer to one than Marcus Smart. So I think again that could be a nice dynamic that we haven't really got to see as well. So
well, if we're grading the trades, I say the Celtics won that trade based on what they got back in picks. Player wise, it was probably a pretty even trade, but those 2 first round picks make up, they're valuable assets. So I think the Celtics win that trade. Then if you're going to assess the Warriors trade with the Wizards to get CP3, I don't know that they win that trade. CP3 is a good player, but he's definitely not in his prime anymore.
No, not at all.
And the Warriors win the trade if they're looking to accomplish just moving Jordan Poole to remove a distraction or something like that, then they win that trade because they accomplished what they wanted to. Talent-wise, compensation-wise, I just don't think they won. It wasn't a good deal for them yet. Yeah. We could see it could pan out differently.
On the surface, I agree. I think that they probably, from the outside looking in, it probably looks like they came out on the worst end of the deal. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But like you said, who knows what happens? The season's going to determine what happens. I truly think that the motivating factor, honestly, was to make sure that they were able to re-sign Draymond, like we talked about last time we got together. And that's what I was saying when you were like, "Oh, well, Mike Dunleavy said," we know about the NBA, man.
And a couple days later,
he got traded, right? He said he wanted him here for the next 4 years, and then he wasn't even there the next
total
4
GM
days.
speak.
You
Thanks
know,
a lot,
so,
Dunleavy.
So I just had a feeling that, and who knows? Draymond's still a free agent. He still opted out. It's not like he's locked up because they got rid of Jordan Poole.
That's right.
But I think that was the motivating factor to show Draymond, look,
we're serious.
We're loyal to you because of what you mean to us. And so I want to go back real quick to the Celtics trade. I think Memphis actually I don't think they lost the trade. I think if you add Marcus Smart to that team, and now they have a veteran voice because they're a very immature team. That was a knock on Memphis all year last year. Obviously, Ja had his problems. He's going to be suspended for 25 games for all of his off the court stuff. But you're adding Marcus Smart, a dude who's been on one of the worst teams in the league and he's been on some of the best teams in the league, right? So he knows what it takes to go from not being very good to being able to get to where they want to go. He's been to the finals, conference finals, things like that. And he just adds some toughness to their team. I think with Steven Adams, the Memphis Grizzlies are going to scare the hell out of some teams next year. I think they're going to be physical.
Jaren Jackson too.
They're going to be physical. Yeah, didn't he win Defensive Player of the Year? Yeah. So I mean, they're going to be physical. Memphis, I think you should be excited about what you got. As a Celtics fan, I can tell you got a dude that's going to give you everything that he's got, and you should definitely be happy about it. So I just wanted to go back to that really quick. But yeah, get back to the Warriors trade. I think that just means that they want to get Draymond back in the building. So,
yeah,
that's all. I
think so too.
So,
moving along, I guess to winners and losers of the draft. I have my winners and losers, and honestly, it's not any one team in the league. First thing I want to point out is this year's draft, in the first 7 picks, we had 5 players picked that didn't play a single game of college ball. So my losers of the NBA draft is the NCAA. Players obviously want to go to the NCAA. They want to get education, but they do that also wanting to make the league, right? Yep. And that's their ultimate goal. And not just make the league. I mean, everyone wants to make the league, but everyone also wants to be a high pick. They want to get paid the most. They want to be developed properly. And I think what this year's draft has showed us is that the winners, my winners, these developmental leagues and then these overseas leagues that teach and develop a more professional type of game, and they run professional business-like organizations. We're finding, and this year's draft is evidence of that, we're finding that they're developing better talent, more NBA-ready talent. This is just the beginning. We talked about this before. The NIL might change that. It might motivate some of these players going to these other professional leagues. It might motivate them now to, go the college route, get their endorsements, make money that way. I think that the NIL still has a lot to be worked out. As we can see, like with just recently with EA Sports versus NCAA football, they're boycotting that now because they don't want to pay the players $500. So there's still a lot of things to be worked out with the NIL. But with that said, ultimately, I really believe that the NBA pipeline, the future of the NBA pipeline now is shifting drastically into developmental leagues. It's going to be more heavy with them, and also foreign leagues. I mean, Wembanyama, he's a French player from Metropolitans 92. Then number 2, this guy came from NCAA, Brandon Miller. Then number 3, G League Ignite, Scoot Henderson. Never played a NCAA game. Amin Thompson, Overtime Elite. Never played an NCAA game. Asar Thompson, twin brother, Overtime Elite. Never played an NCAA game. Then we got Anthony Black from Arkansas. He's played the NCAA. Bilal Koulibaly, France. Played alongside Wemby, Metropolitan 92. And there's the 7 picks, but 5 of those guys. And the truth is, there's not many players getting drafted that make a big impact in the league right away anyways. So it's important, I think, for players to get drafted earlier, because when you get drafted earlier, I think everyone knows that the earlier draft, the more opportunities you'll see, even if you don't quite pan out to be the player that they expected you to be. But the fact that the way your contracts work out when you're drafted earlier, same with a lot of those sports, is you just wind up with more opportunities down the road.
Yeah.
So guys do want to get drafted early, and this is pretty major, I think, for how youngsters will start to decide out of high school what they want to do and how they want to develop themselves.
Yeah, I agree. I think obviously you can see the way that players get to the NBA now. There's a lot of different avenues, as before it was college and now it's it, right? Yeah, I think you're spot on as far as your winners and losers. I can't argue that. I agree with yours. I would throw one more out there, and I think everybody knows, and everybody assumes. But I think the Spurs and Wemby, both of them won. There's like a perfect matchup for them. So the biggest winner is probably Popovich, because he's probably rejuvenated to go on another run. I don't know how he ends up with the number one pick over and over again to restart everything. Got David Robinson, then he got Tim Duncan, then he got Wemby. Oh man. Anyways,
Lucky guy.
yeah, I agree. All right, so I think that's all we had for basketball, right? All right, cool. So obviously, we know football season's coming up. Both of us are chomping at the bit for the games to start. Since they're not starting yet, in the meantime, we'll just talk about what is going on. So, free agency. We know that there's a lot of well, not a lot. There's a few high-profile free agents out there. Since our last conversation, done a little more research. I still think that running backs probably aren't worth as much as what they feel they're worth. But all right, I'll give you a little bit. They're probably undervalued. They're being devalued by the owners. I think it's somewhere in the middle is where they should be. Obviously, I think the owners should probably pay them a little more. But I think some of these running backs feel like they should be getting paid like quarterbacks, and that's just not the case.
I'm going to throw out an example right here of what I was talking about. So, again, I think there's 3 or 4 running backs that deserve really wide receiver like contracts, top tier wide receiver like contracts. And so, 20 plus mil a year, because they provide the same value, if not more value. But then you got guys. So here's what I'm talking about, right? CMC, he deserves that. But then you got a guy like Melvin Gordon over here crying, "Oh, it's the worst position in the league.
Yeah.
That's why I don't have a job." You don't have a job because you suck. That's why. It's not guys like Melvin Gordon that are devalued. It's the CMCs. It's the Chubbs. Dalvin Cook. So I'm not making the argument for all running backs, and I don't think anyone will. Running backs would make the argument for running backs. That's why Melvin Gordon's crying. But with that said, these guys are undervalued in my opinion. Certain ones, there's only a couple of them. Everyone else, I feel like, they're right with their market share. They're getting paid what they should be getting paid. Melvin Gordon's right where he should be, at home, looking for a job. Because there are many, many better running backs than him, who don't really require as much investment either. There's rookie running backs I feel like are better than Melvin Gordon at this point. So I'll just leave it at that. It really is just a couple. That was kind of the point I was making a week ago. Is just a couple that deserve the money, and they're still undervalued.
No, I agree. There's a couple guys, and you can really say that about any position. There's a couple guys that probably deserve to be some of those top paid players in the league, not just at their position.
Right.
So I agree with that. But I on the flip side, when you, like you said, like you got certain guys that start jumping on that bandwagon that don't necessarily meet that criteria, it kind of to a casual fan, it kind of goes, all you guys are the same. But in reality, obviously there's exceptions to most rules. So,
Right.
But let's talk about a couple of free agents in particular.
Yeah.
One of them being a running back is Dalvin Cook, and then obviously DeAndre Hopkins. There's a lot of talk about them trying to maybe team up together and go to the same team. Obviously, if you've watched any morning debate show over the last week or so, that's all they've been talking about is which team should they go to, what's the best landing spots, things like that. Let's talk more about which one of them do you think will make the biggest impact on a team. And obviously, I know it's going to depend, obviously, on which team they go to. But assuming that both of them go to contenders, right? Which at this point in their careers, I don't see why either one of them would not sign with a contender.
Right.
Which one do you think would make the biggest impact and maybe propel a team over the top?
Well, this is a tough question. In my opinion, it really is, because it is partially based on, where they go and what the opportunities are going to be like. But both Hopkins and Cook are top tier players. So, wherever they go, they're going to get their opportunities. I would have to say that the person who's going to make the biggest impact on their team, regardless of where they go, I think is going to be Hopkins.
Cool.
I feel like he's more rested. He hasn't obviously,
Definitely.
he's a lot more rested. He hasn't put a lot on his body the last couple of seasons. When he did get on the field last year, he still looked good. I know there's chatter around the league that maybe some GMs think he's lost a step, and that's just media making news. I feel like I didn't see any indication at all in the limited time he played last year that he had lost a step. I just felt like at most times him and Kyler Murray were not on the same page. Their timing was clearly off. And when you can't play with each other, like when you can't play the game with each other and have that time to build the continuity and timing with your teammates, again, he missed a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's difficult. So with that said, though, I just think that because it is a pass-heavy league these days, that Hopkins will have a more immediate and a bigger impact on his team than Cook will. But who knows? I mean, that's just how I feel right now. Both of these guys likely will not sign with a team until after training camp, when roster sizes are getting cut down. Injuries. They don't want to. Exactly. They're not going to want to go through that. They don't want to link up with a team and have to go through the training camp and all that.
Yeah.
So I'd be surprised if they're even signed like by the first preseason game. Maybe at that point. But I think they're just holding. They're going to wait for the right opportunity. If they wind up on the same team, that could be quite interesting. But I think Hopkins.
Very interesting.
Curious to see how you feel, though.
I think that DeAndre Hopkins can probably make a bigger impact just because he's not only with his production, but the attention he's going to draw from opposing defenses. Like he's going to, even if he has lost a step, he's still going to take the top off the defense, right? He's still going to require one of your best defensive backs to, if not your best.
Yep.
Unless he goes to a team like Cincinnati or something like that, which I don't see that happening because they got what they need, right? So really, whatever team he goes to, he's probably going to be the number one wide receiver, best receiver on the team, which is going to automatically mean that opposing defenses are going to have to game plan for him. So I think obviously Dalvin Cook can make a major impact, and not that opposing defenses aren't going to game plan for him, but I just feel like it's easier to game plan for a running back than it is for a guy that can really change the way you have to play defense, right?
Right.
For a running back, we all know you're going to stack the box, right, and force them to force the other team to throw the ball. But again, it really depends on what situation they go to. Like let's say that Dalvin Cook goes to a team like Kansas City.
Right.
I think that he would be that X factor. Not that they need an X factor, but you add him to what they already have, and they might go undefeated. To be honest with you. because that's that's the one element of their offense that is not as scary as the rest of it. And if you add him plus Patrick Mahomes and what they can do, that there's no defense that would sleep at all during that game week. So, and let's say you put Hopkins with I don't know who's the team that needs a wide receiver to take you. Let's say
despite recent signings, I think the Ravens still could use another receiver.
Maybe he ends up in somewhere like that, Baltimore, or let's say a team that was
the Giants.
The Giants, maybe, or even Buffalo, right? I know Diggs is unhappy with his role in the offense, but as an owner, as a coach, I'm like, bro, if we can add this guy, that's going to open things up for you. Like if you add him to Buffalo, who knows what kind of impact you can have. So again, it's all situational, but I think if you're just looking at it in a vacuum, I would go with you and I'd say Hopkins is probably going to be the one that makes a bigger impact. Just because of what he's going to force defenses to do in game plan for. So
yeah, definitely. I think so too. There is one limiting factor there. That would be the age.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook's 27. I just looked that up.
Yeah, D-Hop's 31.
D-Hop's 31. So, there could be that could factor into it. But recent history tells us a 27-year-old running back's almost like a 31-year-old wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
If you think about it, the shelf life of running backs is not very high in the NFL.
Yeah. And the rules are obviously set up for receivers to play longer, right?
Exactly.
You got the defenseless receiver. There's no defenseless running back.
No,
like
you just hit him.
You blow him up. Well,
that's right.
It's just the way it is. He gets blown up, right?
That's right.
So yeah, I agree. I think obviously the running back shelf life is much shorter than a wide receiver. Just a couple other interesting free agents that are still out there. Kareem Hunt, right?
Yeah.
Solid running back, really talented. Obviously, he's had some off field issues and things like that. But I think in his time in Cleveland, although he wasn't the primary back, he was splitting time with Chubb. He was very productive. So I'm surprised to see that he's still out there. I think a lot of teams maybe are just waiting to see how their roster shakes out if injuries pop up. You still got Zeke out there. Be interesting to see where he shows up. Let's see. Jadeveon Clowney, another guy that's kind of, can make an impact on a team. So be interesting to see where some of those guys end up. And again, at the same time, it's interesting to see a couple of them that are still free agents, like Marcus Peters. Most teams are looking for top-notch cornerbacks. I think that might say something that he's still out there available. Maybe teams know something that us as the casual fan don't know. So
I think a name that could really help people out, and I've liked since he came into the league, is edge rusher Yannick Ngakoue.
Oh yeah.
He's only 28.
Yeah, he's a youngster,
and he loves to get after the quarterback. I think whatever team lands him is going to get a stud. I'd like to see him team up on the Niners. As a Niners fan, our D line is already pretty nasty. To get another guy like that would be phenomenal. But I think whatever team he goes to, previously played for the Colts. I think whatever team he goes to is going to get just an absolute animal.
Oh yeah,
some guy who still can play at a high level and still pretty young for his position.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously that's one of the most important positions, in football in today's game.
Edge rusher.
You got to get to that quarterback.
That's right.
So some interesting free agents still out there. It's gonna be a wild next few weeks, I think, with the NBA and NFL off seasons going. There's going to be some shocking signings and trades and things like that coming up here in the near future, I imagine. So that's all I got, man. You got anything else you want to chat on?
No,
you good?
Not at the moment.
All right, cool. Well, hey, we appreciate you guys watching. I could be wrong, but we were right about everything. And please like and subscribe. Be on the lookout for more content coming soon. And later, bro.
Take it easy.
See you guys.
See you guys.